There's a lot on the line for the Democratic Party, especially when it comes to voting rights. And Obama, who doesn't usually weigh in on current events, has decided to finally weigh in on current events during a call with some grassroots Democrats. But it's important to juxtapose how Obama talks about current events and uses his platform versus how someone like, let's say, Donald Trump, another former president, uses his platform to pressure the Republican Party to do what he thinks is right. Now, of course, we know what Trump thinks is right is usually things that are criminal, but nonetheless, let me give you this statement from Obama, who is very much concerned about various red states rolling back voting rights and rigging elections to the Republicans' favor, which of course puts the Democratic Party in jeopardy. He says, we can't wait until the next election, because if we have the same kinds of shenanigans that brought about January 6th, those were the Capitol Hill riots, if we have that for a couple more election cycles, we're going to have real problems in terms of our democracy long term. No, but I don't think he gets it. We have real problems with our democracy right now, with the laws that were passed in Georgia, the suppression laws that are being proposed in many other states with Republican governors. No, we're in trouble right now. But he continues to write during this call with supporters alongside former Attorney General Eric Holder. Since I left office, I've tried to make a policy not to weigh in on the day-to-day scrum in Washington. But what's happening this week is more than just a partisan bill coming up or not coming up to a vote. Obama said the filibuster is not in the Constitution and it, quote, allows a determined minority of senators to block legislation supported by the vast majority of Americans, end quote. So where do Senate Democrats stand on this, Cenk? Democrats, by the way, are still pushing the bill through in an effort to highlight Republican opposition, despite changes made to the bill at the request of Senator Joe Manchin, the most conservative member of the Democratic caucus. So what Democrats are gonna do is force a vote on this like pared down version of the For the People Act. Not a single Republican senator is gonna vote in favor of it. We can already predict that. And then what are Democrats gonna do? What are they gonna do after that? Are they gonna nuke the filibuster? Are they gonna get rid of it? No, they're not. So what's the point of this, this exercise that they're gonna engage in? And I mean, get a load of Obama's incredibly tame statements about something that literally puts our democratic process in further jeopardy. It's like, I don't usually comment on these things, and I'm too busy, sailing away with the guy who started Virgin Airlines. I forget his name.
Yeah.
But this might be a little important for the future of the Democratic Party and democracy.
Yeah. So I've got a lot to say about Obama in a second, but as we were doing this story live, Anna's prediction came true. So she said, of course they're not gonna pass the bill. Just 2 minutes ago they voted, and they, of course, failed.
How many Republicans voted in favor of it?
It's so recent that they don't have the count yet. So it's happening as we speak right now. And so it's, here we go, they got it in now, 50-50. Of course. And by the way, that means that if there is no filibuster, it would pass. Because Kamala Harris would come and break the tie.
Yep.
And right now, all Americans would have voting rights and we would have ended gerrymandering. Oh my God, we would have passed a Disclose Act, which means we could find out the dark money donors. We could do all of that right now if they ended the filibuster. Instead, Manchin, Sinema, and others are like, nope, our votes are totally fake. And you guys gave us concessions, even though we were messing with you. And we were never gonna actually give you the actual legislation because we're gonna let the Republicans filibuster it. Idiots.
Now watch what happens after this, right? Because they knew, the Democratic Party knew that the vote would break down 50-50 because, when GOP lawmakers tell you who they are, believe them. How many of them came out? Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, we're not gonna vote in favor of it, regardless of how watered down the voting rights bill is. We don't want to. Why would they want to have free and fair elections? They're the beneficiaries of an undemocratic process. You think that they actually want to pass legislation that ensures that every eligible voter is able to vote. They don't want that. They've gone out of their way for years now to do away with people or make it incredibly difficult for people to vote.
No, guys, it's beyond that. The whole thing is a joke, man. Republicans have proposed 389 bills in 48 different states to limit voting rights. Why would a party that introduced about 400 bills to limit voting rights turn around and vote in favor of expanding voting rights? Who in their right mind would think that? No, everyone pretending that you're gonna get a single Republican vote on this, let alone 10, is the most disingenuous person you've ever met in your life, which describes almost the entirety of Washington, D.C., because every politician is pretending that, and everybody in the media is pretending that.
It's ridiculous. So let me also just note that these GOP lawmakers don't care how popular the voting rights bill is. In fact, one of the more recent polls, this is from Monmouth University, finds that 71% of Americans believe in-person early voting should be easier to do, while 69% of respondents want national guidelines for voting by mail and for in-person early voting in every state. These are issues that are addressed in the legislation, but do Senate lawmakers, GOP lawmakers care? Of course they don't. They don't, because they know that Democrats wouldn't even use what they just did in this vote against them in campaigning. They're never held accountable. I mean, this weak argument, this weak statement from Barack Obama is an example of how they do their messaging. Now, when you look at Republicans, it's something completely different. Donald Trump is so bitter at any Republican lawmaker who voted to impeach him after the January 6 riots that he's on the warpath, okay? So I'll give you a specific recent example. Trump is offering to back a primary challenger to Republican Representative John Katko from New York after Katko voted to impeach Trump. Trump has vowed to help oust any Republican he deems insufficiently loyal in 2022, especially the 10 who voted to impeach him. Many of those have gotten challengers who are major supporters of the former president. So he's like, I don't care who it is. I don't care who the primary challenger is. I will back any primary challenger to GOP lawmakers who voted to impeach me. How dare you besmirch Donald Trump? I will come after you. Now, do I want Democrats to be similar? Yes, I do. I want Democrats to be similar. I want them to fight, and they don't. And it's embarrassing to support that party.
Okay, so let me build on what Anna is saying there, because why would we want Democrats to be in any way similar to Donald Trump? No, well, certainly we don't want them to be similar in terms of policy and the racism, the sexism, all that stuff, right?
Or intelligence,
obviously,
yeah.
Right, or being an idiot and incompetent, all that stuff, okay? But in this case, think about it, guys. So number one, Donald Trump actually said, hey, find me a good candidate against him, meaning sight unseen. I don't give a damn who the other guy is. If you vote for my impeachment, I want you gone. Now, there's an excellent chance that's gonna happen in other primaries where Donald Trump weighed in, like Mark Sanford. Even slight critique or criticism of Donald Trump cost them the election, and they're totally gone. They're eliminated from politics now. Now, imagine if there was a progressive who didn't do that for their own ego, but did it based on policy. Imagine if there was a progressive strong enough to say, hey, you vote against voting rights. I mean, there's 1,000 reasons why you could make this threat, right? But one of those that is plenty good enough on its own is all these African Americans show up to vote for you. They make the difference in places like Georgia. Biden only won by 43,000 votes in 3 states. If it wasn't for African American voters, he definitely would have lost, right? Not just the voters overall, but the intensity with which they showed up. He owes them everything. And Republicans are taking away their voting rights, particularly targeting African American voters. And if there was a progressive strong enough to say, hey, you touch those voting rights and you don't vote with us and you vote with the Republicans on the filibuster, and I will end you. Period. Over. Okay. I will primary you. I will find any candidate I like and make sure your career is over. You go work on Wall Street or MSNBC or wherever you like, but your career in politics is done. Do it, I dare you, right? Now, what would happen? That would work, just like it's working with the Republicans. Why do you think every Republican, Mitch McConnell hates Donald Trump? He did a huge speech against Donald Trump. Now he's busy licking his boots. Why? Because Donald Trump is doing one thing right. He is using his political power. He's using it for the wrong ends, but he is using it. Imagine if somebody used it for the right ends, right? But what does Obama do instead? Vague generalities. Oh, voting rights are kind of important and special, and we should kind of do it, and I guess we could reform the filibuster a little bit. That, you know what that is? I'm honest, and so I know everybody in Washington, their heart's gonna be broken because Obama's their demigod, right? You're not allowed to criticize him. Sorry, we'll break the rules here because we actually care about the truth. That is totally what Obama's doing, is totally and utterly useless. So if you don't name Sinema and Manchin and you don't support a primary against them, then they don't care at all what you think about the filibuster and what you think about voting rights. Your points are, they're total and utter waste of time. And that's what Obama's doing to make himself feel better.
100%. I mean, his whispers are not a match for billionaire corporate donors who certainly have, like, they're yelling into Manchin and Sinema's ears, right? And corporate Democrats overall. You play by our rules or you're gonna miss out on this money. You think that Obama's whispers are in any way a competition to that? No, it's not. And look, it's not like Obama doesn't know how to use his political power. He certainly used it during the Democratic primaries when he convinced all Democratic candidates to drop out of the race to ensure that Biden wins against Bernie Sanders. He knows how to use strategy. He knows how to fight specifically for what he wants. But when it comes to the good of the American people, for Democratic voters, and yes, black voters who turned out and got not just Biden elected, but 2 senators in the state of Georgia elected, to turn your back on them, I mean, it's just shameful. There's really no other word for it.
Yeah, Anna, that's such a great point. I'd forgotten that. So we know Obama knows hardball when he had it set in his mind that Bernie Sanders, of all people, must be defeated. Progressives must be defeated. Man, he moved mountains. Buttigieg, Klobuchar, all of them. I mean, people who'd already dropped out, Beto O'Rourke, who was pretending to be progressive, etc. He called them all and they all said, yes, 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 what do you need? What do you need, right? But when it comes to fighting Republicans, whispers. Not voting rights, who cares? And so let's talk about how incredibly selfish Barack Obama is. Because all he cares about is his own reputation. He's like, normally, I don't get involved in day-to-day muck. Oh, well, must be so nice for you up on the mountaintop, okay? Where you don't care about anything but your own legacy. So why doesn't he get involved in day-to-day? Oh, well, that's ugly business, And I must protect my legacy. My legacy is so important. And my legacy dictates that former presidents don't talk about other presidents. Look at what Trump's doing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, but he's so Reeve Ghost, he won't have a good legacy. Oh, you must be so proud. Okay, now here's, well, but guys, he's a former president. Is there, to be fair, is there anything he can do? Well, Anna just told you what we could do with inside the Democratic Party, but I'll go further, okay? Okay, we know what he could do, Sinema. You vote to keep the filibuster and that kills voting rights, I'm gonna move to Arizona and run against you, okay? Okay, that's a nuclear level threat. And I know, everybody in Washington will laugh. Well, but Obama would never do that. And then he might risk losing, and that would tarnish his legacy. And that would be threatening a fellow Democrat. You can't do that unless it's Bernie Sanders. Right, okay, so thank you for proving our point. Obama doesn't want to lift a finger to help anyone, so he can keep his sweet nothing whispers to himself. No one is interested. And finally, if you're wondering about this vote, it comes down 50-50. Part of the reason, ostensible reason that Schumer held the vote is so that he can say, hey, listen, what we told you guys, right? It turns out we could pass it if we get rid of the filibuster. And so you'll see a lot of talk of that now, right? But there's a second reason why he held the vote that you won't see. So that Sinema and Manchin can say, well, we voted for the For the People Act. We voted for it. And so you can't say we didn't vote for it. No, we can. You guys are liars. You know that vote is completely and utterly meaningless without getting rid of the filibuster. And Schumer, while pretending to fight against you, in a sense, just delivered you a gift. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.